Welcome to the Norient Bubble. It's called Texts That Laugh, Sweat and Bleed. And basically, my name is Philipp Rhensius. I'm a Norient editor, one of many Norient collaborators. And I'm very happy to present this bubble, which will be a reading performance, reading sound music performance, starring Nicole Pearson, a playwright and a performer from Berlin, now based in Berlin, not from Berlin, based in Berlin. And Raphael Kariuki, aka djrPH, musician, DJ, and also a Norient collaborator from Nairobi, all the way. And I'm very happy, I think we here from the Norient team are very happy to host him, also host you, but saying that you published a Norient publication, Nairobi Sounds, 2 years ago, I think. And you have been a Norient collaborator for a long time now, especially producing and composing so-called Norient snaps, which is short snippets of sounds that comment and think with all of our contributions that we publish on our website, which is something like the core of Norient. And yeah, you're here for the first time in Bern, so welcome. Maybe a few words about this idea. In the introduction, I talk a bit about that we have a very big archive of texts that sometimes just are sleeping. So we thought it could be interesting to choose a few of these essays and bring them alive in a performative setting. We chose 12 different essays that we will perform now. I will just be in the background. Nicole and Raf will perform. And a few words maybe about where the texts are coming from. We have, for example, a text that asks the question, what happens when a record player is played with acrylic nails instead of a needle? Another text that asks, but it's about two political activists about their time in prison after they were arrested for leading peaceful protests in India. So yeah, it's topic-wise very diverse. A few words about how we work with text, sound, and music. For us, the texts and podcasts we publish are not necessarily a celebration of intersubjectivity. It would be a bit ignorant and reductive. Too much noise of racism and misogyny to weed out. Too much unshared life world, not just from the difference that racial experience makes, but also in our relation to queerness, to family, to sickness and to health, to poverty and citizenship. But we attempt to build a bridge between these different life worlds. You can walk on it to reach the other side or stand and watch from afar, but you will be there with your own body. And we, from Norient, the whole collective, want to think with topics, not necessarily only about them. We want to be involved, not a subject that is looking at something from a superior viewpoint. And it's only an attempt. Probably doesn't work always, but it's a thing to work on. So I would say I give the mic to Nicole and the composition to Raf.
Welcome. Just go ahead and take a moment. Settle. Make yourselves comfortable. Close your eyes if you want to, or allow the flicker of the flame to carry you to another place. In his ballet, Les Onze Galants, Jean-Philippe Rameau represented Native Americans as passionate courtesans who fought for the affections of their beloved. Surrounded by a colorful scenography and exotic costumes, Incas and North American Indians danced elegantly and delicately on the stage to enchant European audiences. Today, South American musicians are constructing an image of American Indians as bons sauvages in German pedestrian zones. Why do German people love these false Indians so? My hypothesis would be that these musicians confirm the historical imagination of Germans of American Indians. Growing up reading fantastic Western stories by Karl May, many Germans see American Indians in a very romantic light, equating them with respect for nature and spirituality. They also see American Indians as victims of oppression and dispossession by European colonialism. Through conversations with pedestrians, I experienced that many Germans thought we were poor indigenous people who needed their support and solidarity, despite the fact that we played with very expensive instruments. Did they need us to be poor people to whom they could be generous? In this sense, in order to be successful in Germany, Indian groups keep nourishing these cultural cliches. There are, of course, critical voices speaking against the perpetuation of the galant Indian representations. Some Latin American immigrants argue that these groups are misleading their German friends. Nicknames like Incapaces, a mixture of Inca and Apache, which resembles the Spanish word for incapable, and the many or mega indios show that many Latin Americans do not welcome this representation. They denounce the appropriation and instrumentation of indigenous culture by urban Andean musicians in the diaspora. But what these objectors do not see is that many of these musicians of Andean descent were victims of so-called silent racism, which imposes a politic of whitening and negation of their Andean heritage. Thanks to these romantic images of the American Indian painted by German society, these Andean musicians, for the first time, have the opportunity to construct a positive identity as Indian, whereas they are still primitive, quote unquote, uneducated and uncivilized in their own country. They are bons sauvages, nature-bound and galant, as the Indians imagined by Rameau here in Europe. I'm not sure if I want to criticize that. I'm listening to spacey, ambient waves and deep dark dance drones that I want to play tomorrow evening as I open for my friend, the experimental techno DJ producer Landrea, who's headlining tomorrow's show at The Mist, our 2-month-old venue in Westlands. Honesty and courtesy demand that I declare my baggage up front, not least for how time-consuming our new event has been to organize. Every Friday and the days before and after, while trying to keep tabs on all the different bits of hashtag Nairobi Conscious Project. But we're not complaining. Kwame Aidoo and I are both curators of this Norient City Sounds special and resident DJs of our new venue. Because after years of hoping and dreaming, we have finally found a space in Nairobi for our music. And it was almost always going to be in Westlands. But Westlands is many things. Greater Westlands is by far and away the rich side of town. This matters because poverty is the inescapable reality for most Nairobians, despite all the hype about our city's perks and attractions for the expatriate, the Afropolitan, the global. I'd feel unclean if I did not bring this up here. And that this fact about Westlands district of Nairobi, home to the embassies and diplomats, the wealthy, the educated, the traveled, has long cast the shade on the electronic music scene here. The conversation about wealth and well-being, about the currents and dynamics of power, privilege, poverty, opportunity, and humanity are real and must be amplified in a more meaningful and purposeful ways. To frame everything about Westlands within only this topic, however, reduces it and the city at large to a single story. But wherever we'll gather, this or the next weekend in the city, we have Westlands to thank for giving the music a place to start. No other part of the city would have given it a chance. No other part of the city would have given it a chance.
Hi.
I think the line got cut.
Oh, okay. I just finished, so want to go to the next?
Okay, but go to the next.
Okay.
The dissonance in the sound of angelic music is striking.
So for this next text, we're actually going to turn our attention to the screen. Our other collaborator could not be with us this afternoon. So instead of replacing his voice, we've decided to put his words on the wall.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
I think the line got cut.
Oh, okay. I just finished, so want to go to the next?
Okay, but go to the next.
Okay.
The dissonance in the sound of angelic music is striking. Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
Ukikutana next
stay focused with the screen. The next essay will be playing as well. So Kwame Aidoo was the collaborator we were supposed to be working with, who wasn't able to be with us today.
Always distinctive, personal, unmistakable, and sounds here.
as the sun rose, the old Bollywood classic, Ay Malik Tere Bande Hum, O Master, we are your people, would echo loudly through the corridors of all prison wards. We were lodged in Ward 8 of Jail Number 6 in the Tihar Center Jail in New Delhi, the only women's prison in South Asia's largest prison complex. Lata Mangeshkar's high-pitched voice in this almost hauntingly sad song stirred unexpected emotions on that first morning inside the prison cell. The lyrics felt strangely poignant. We had been falsely framed and imprisoned as terrorists under the draconian Unlawful Activities Preventions Act, UAPA, by a vindictive regime for participating in peaceful protests for equal citizenship against the CAA, NPR, NRC. Protests that stood against a politics of hate to proclaim the power and unity of love. In Ward 8, there where we spent our first month of prison time, the quarantine cell had no clock. We were to be locked alone in these isolation cells for the first 14 days as part of the COVID-19 protocol that had been instituted for new entrants into the prison. New to prison life, the heaviness of time that needed to be conquered came to be embodied in the sound of the ticking clock that hung outside in the open area of the ward. On days when we could gather courage, we would dare to sing aloud, she will fight against oppression. She will usher in a new world. To the prison walls, we would hum Habib Jalib's immortal lines that had also reverberated throughout the protest sites. The oppressor's words, the night of ignorance, I refuse to accept. I refuse to recognize. The oppressor's words, the night of ignorance, I refuse to accept. I refuse to recognize. We had slowly begun to adjust to the rhythms and sounds of prison life. But one afternoon, we suddenly woke up to alarm screams from the prisoners in the adjoining cell. They were also incessantly ringing the emergency bell that there is inside each cell. The cells were locked as it was afternoon banginti, or closed timings. A young Muslim woman, Fisa, had torn her clothes to make a rope to hang herself from the fan of her cell, where she had been lodged alone. Brought in a few days ago in an alleged case of theft, she had been crying the whole time, but no jail official had bothered to care. Despite many requests, she had not been given access to her first call to family or provided any legal counsel. Desperate and disheartened that she would have to spend her whole life locked in the cell, she attempted suicide. We would have lost Fisa that afternoon if it was not for the inmate lodged in the cell opposite hers who noticed what she was doing and raised an uproar. This was not the first time suicide had been attempted in an isolation cell. One woman had even succeeded in taking her life. The mourning screams and cries of her inmates in nearby cells had raged through the whole night, just a month before we arrived in the prison. No one was hence kept in that cell for a long time, fearing the presence of the dead inmate's troubled spirit. But what? But what? But what? But what exactly are we listening to when we speak of war sounds? In fact, the reality of war can be rather boring and monotonous. I would argue that there's no such thing as sounds of war. Not because war is not an aesthetic category, but because there doesn't seem to be anything extraordinary about it other than the time quality that disestablishes reality. Time is infinitely enlarged during conflict. It becomes a long, tedious routine to use up your time. The condition of war and the fantasy of war are not the same, but they intersect at the level that is neither merely circumstantial. They belong to the articulation of a collective desire, and listening to war is standing at the threshold of an expanded field. In Mecha, there is a world at war, which is a lot more than just a war. It is the domination of technology over history. Ngunzungu Nzubu's epic does not offer images or sounds of war, but that orientation towards death that animates our culture today. The audiovisual continuum does not belong to the boundaries of the real. Its truth marker lies beyond perception. Its truth marker lies beyond perception. Beyond perception. I invite you to take a few moments and close your eyes. Give yourself a chance to let what you've seen and heard settle. Settle in your bones, in your muscles. Let it rest in your consciousness. into the space as you gather yourself to eventually make your way back out into the day. Thank you so much for your attention, your presence, your time.
I'm Philipp Rhensius. I'm based in Berlin and I have been Norient editor for 7 years now. And I make music, I write, and for Norient I'm editing mostly. But I also curate stuff in Berlin, local club parties, events and performances. And
Why are you here today?
I'm here to present a bubble at the Norient Festival, and the bubble is called Noriental Bonfire Readings, texts that sweat, laugh, and bleed. So basically the idea was like we have a vast archive of texts, but also podcasts and films, little sound pieces. And I wanted to bring these texts alive because we have many texts, like up to 800 essays, poems, articles, and we wanted to bring them alive. So I selected 12 texts and I wanted to bring them alive in the Norient way, like without a specific genre, but in a performative setting, because we always think sound and music together. Because I worked in music journalism and it was always about like thinking about music. And it always had this feeling of being superior of the music you talk about, you write about, you think about. And I wanted to make true what we attempt to do, which is like thinking with sound and music rather than about. So this was an element to connect to the texts. So I invited djrPH and Nicole Pearson to bring these texts alive that we chose, and they would read and compose and play music on top. And it was like an iteration of the texts in a physical space.
What inspired you to this?
Like I said, sometimes you forget that there are books or like texts that are lying around somehow. They're like loose dots lying around. And to read out, or let's say it differently, when I write, I sometimes leave the texts as they are, and they just sit there, they don't have a voice. And when I read them aloud, I sometimes recognize lots of things. Usually I feel ashamed because, wow, I should have changed this word, this sentence. So I thought like reading a text aloud has a very rich sound quality as well, and it makes them different and maybe more important or urgent.
What do you think about host this festival?
The whole festival. Okay, I'm a bit. How do you say? You need to cut that out. No. What does this say? Primed? No. If you are like influenced, primed. Anyway, yeah, I will say that. So yeah, I'm kind of primed because I'm part of Norient. So I love this festival for several reasons. But I think because I'm one of the curators of the festival and editor, so my part is also to bring the Norient website into the physical space here on the festival. And the other things at the festival are different, curated by different people, so I just do my own bubble. But what I love about this festival, maybe from a distant point of view, if I can do that actually, because I'm part of Norient, I would say that I really love the connection between locality and globality in a way. It's global and local at the same time, and I love how people are they're very like personal and let's say nice.
And it's a festival that I sometimes think is like without any hierarchies. So everyone is together. The technician, the musician, the performer are like having dinner together in a way. Everybody is like helping out, asks if he or she or them can help. And it's a nice vibe. And what I also love is like I think we tap into different scenes. It's not like just a hipster festival or just a heavy metal festival or something like that. We offer different things, concerts, films, performances, and also a club night. So it brings together different people, different scenes, and diversity, I would say.
Thank you. Do you want to add something from yourself?
Yeah, what should I add? Yeah, I think it's worth to say again what our attempt is with Norient. I mean, we have many attempts, but I think it's really important, having been a music journalist, what I said before, like if you do things, you should maybe consider that you are part of the thing that you write with or about, and you're always there with your body somehow. So for me, it's always important to attune yourself to the situation that is there. So I think that could be a thing to explore more. Like, let's say, to think with or to do things with other things and not do about them, and like be a person that is interconnected.
Sure. My name is Nicole Pearson, and I am a theater artist, activist, and writer based in Berlin, Germany.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Why are you here today?
I'm here as part of the Norient Festival here in Bern, Switzerland. I was invited by a colleague of mine from a collective in Berlin to come and do a performance presentation of some decolonial work that we do, and then also to perform some of the text from the vast Norient library.
What was your inspiration to be a part of this bubble?
The texts themselves, actually, they're really powerful and beautiful. And in terms of archive, I think that it's important that we find ways to activate them so that people realize that there's a whole repository of information and experiences that we have available to us. So I felt really honored to be able to highlight some of those texts.
What do you think about this festival?
I think it's amazing. So this is my first year at the festival, and I mean the depth and breadth of information and artists and musicians and ideas is incredibly inspiring, and the people here are amazing. Super warm, super dedicated to creating alternative spaces of connection and solidarity.
Do you want to add something from yourself?
I guess the only thing I would add is, this is the kind of work that is necessary if we're going to change the trajectory that we seem to be on. And I'm just really honored and excited to be a part of this beautiful community.
My name is Rafael Mugo. I'm a DJ and a sound artist from Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Why are you here?
Today I was part of a just concluded performance, a reading performance, where I worked on the audio, the sound, design, music accompaniment. But here in general, because of the Norient Festival. Yeah.
What was your inspiration to take a part of this bubble?
The reading. My inspiration. How do I put it? I've worked with Norient before on like audio interpretations or reflections of text, and it's always been such a cool challenge for me as as a producer or as a composer, reading a text and trying to create audio that accompanies the text or interprets or reflects on the text. And I think the creative enjoyment of it is my inspiration, because it's just fun to do, honestly. Yeah, it's fun. Like there's no deeper thing than I enjoy doing that. Yeah. No, I'm not a philosopher. I just enjoyed doing it. Yeah.
What do you think about Kwame's festival?
It's super interesting because I've interacted with Norient before, like many times. Like I think I've known Thomas and Hannes for a few years now, and I've always been a fan of their website, their gallery. But to see it live, like to be in their physical space and to see the impact of Norient on Bern, the town, and on the local cultural scene, and also to experience the coming together of different interesting people from around the world. I think it just adds to my appreciation of what Norient stands for. And yeah, I think the variety and the richness of the online gallery really comes through in the physical experience. And yeah.
Do you want to add something?
No. That's it. But thank you.
Thank you very much.